Yo, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I hope you do. I really hope you do. Wherever you are, whether you're watching us from Africa, whether you're watching us from Europe, Asia, South Asia, America, Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica, whatever you are, uh, we welcome you very much. Karibu sana. Anyways, today's topic, I won't be here for long. As you know, I don't stay here for long. 1 hour max, but I won't even finish the hour today. I'll be very brief because I have something I have to do. There's a match I'm trying to watch at in an hour's time. Chelsea versus Everton. Speaking of the Premier League, for those who care about football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, English Premier League, Liverpool lost to Crystal Palace at home at Anfield, and Arsenal lost at home to Aston Villa, as I predicted. So the title race is kind of shaping up right now, but it's not over yet because Manchester City are just only leading by 2 points. 2 points from Arsenal and 3 points from what's his name, Liverpool. But that's not the topic of the day. The topic Mada Leo is Sakaja sins, Arati's woes, and Raila's schemes. We're just basically going to go through what's going on in Kenya. It's been a while since I've made a video, but again, this will be one of my last videos because I'll take a short break from broadcasting YouTube live or just posting videos. Nitachukua break kidogo so I can, I have a lot going on, so I won't be available. I'll not be here as much as I would like to be because there's a lot of things going on around my life. So yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, in case you're going to watch this and repeat, or if you're just going to join it, you're gonna put notification on Angalia, go ahead. The first order of business is to like, share, comment, actually subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Okay. All right, let's get to it. What's the number one thing that's going on up there? I would like to start with a tweet by Gitobu Imanyara. If you know Gitobu Imanyara, he's old school. He comes from those, working at Raila in the 90s. He was really fighting hard for, multipartyism. He's one of those people who kind of walienda katulia badai. Very smart guy. I think he's a lawyer by trade. He made a tweet, tweeted Twitter, now known as X. He tweeted something that was interesting that I would like to share with you guys. Are you ready? Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades? Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to what? Let's get to it. All right. Let me go to it if I can find it. All right. Give me a second. By the way, while I do this, please do not hesitate to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, right? So umejua the deal, eh? Am I not? Okay, I'm not. All right, whatever the case is. Okay, Gitobu Imanyara. First of all, okay, I'll read Gitobu Imanyara's stuff. Let me just show you. Let me just bring it to the screen so you can know what I'm talking about, because you might be wondering, what are you talking about? Who is Gitobu Imanyara? Do your research on Gitobu Imanyara. I'm not going to walk you through who this man is. You do it. If you care about politics, Kenyan politics, you would know who Gitobu Imanyara is. But this is what he tweeted. Let me present this. I want to read it with you. I want you to see it on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. I just don't want to read it and wonder if I'm making up stuff or not. But here it is. Here it is. All right. Can you see it on the screen? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. All right. I hope you do. Thank you. Gitobu Imanyara says, President Ruto's unprincipled diplomatic pronouncements on Kenya's Middle Eastern policy risks destroying Raila Odinga's candidature for chairmanship of the African Union Commission. Americans whom he so wants to please will not be voting and will not influence the vote. Kenya ought to toe the AU stance on Israel, or at the very least, remain non-aligned. Okay, I'll read it one more time so you can get it. President Ruto's unprincipled diplomatic pronouncement on Kenya's Middle Eastern policy risk destroying Raila Odinga's candidature for chairmanship of the African Union Commission. Americans who he so wants to please will not be voting and will not influence the vote. Kenya ought to toe the AU stance on Israel, or at very least remain non-aligned. Now, what is he talking about? Gitobu Imanyara is referring to the official statement that William Ruto made regarding what's going on in Iran, between Iran and Israel. Kahawa, please. Oh, coffee tastes so good. Anytime. Nakwambia coffee. Aye, kahawa is so nice. Anyway, let's go on. So here what it says. Here's what this is what Gitobu Imanyara was referring to, okay? This is a statement by William Ruto regarding what's going on between Iran and Israel, okay? Ruto tweeted, Kenya is deeply concerned by Iran's attack on the state of Israel. This disturbing development only serves to aggravate an already delicate situation in the Middle East. The attack represents a real and present threat to international peace and security, contravenes the Charter of the United Nations, and should be condemned by all peace-loving countries. In responding to this fact of aggression, Kenya urges Israel to show utmost restraints, taking into account the urgent need for all parties to walk away from the brink beyond which recovery will be enormously difficult. Okay, so based on that statement that Ruto, made through his Twitter official page, he basically takes sides with Israel. He condemns the attacks by Iran, but fails. He never said anything when Israel struck the Iranian consul in where was it? Is it Iran or somewhere else? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that in this Iran versus Israel conflict, the Israel government was actually the aggressors in this case. They started this. So Iran responded, okay? And not only that, when the world was condemning Israel for what they were doing in Gaza, bombing Palestinians and Palestinian children, and even people who are supplying the basic needs for the for the Palestinians who are seeking refuge. William Ruto never said anything. He never made a statement condemning the aggression by the Israeli government. So now that Iran responds, Ruto texts on Twitter and, basically sides with Israel. He condemns the attack by Iran. I've often said that in this channel that Ruto is a colonial puppet. He is a colonial puppet. If you follow the tweets, and I'm so glad that a lot of people are catching on to this. Maybe they've known about this and they've never been vocal about this. I don't know. But if you look at Okuru Okot, James Mbogo, and so forth, Francis Gaitho, their tweets are more, they are pointing at what's really need to be pointed at, which is the privatization of every parastatal by this government. Okay, the takeover by this global corporatocracy. Okay, these transnational world organizations, okay, that are coming, acting as if they are investors. They're preaching to us about carbon credits, taking our land, forcing us to pay high taxes, writing our policies. This is what I've been talking about ever since I started this channel and made it a political channel, Kenyan political channel. We see this, and I've been always saying that, if you want to judge the president, if you want to judge how a president will perform, an African president, especially the Kenyan president, if I was to be specific, Just look at what kind of policies the president is trying to implement. Are they beneficial to the people, or are they beneficial to the transnational corporations? These, big corporations that, are taking over. So back to this tweet, Imanyara basically tells Ruto that, hey, listen, you are jeopardizing Raila's chances of AU. Personally, I would slightly disagree with Imanyara, as I've argued in other platforms, that AU is a creation of the EU. Okay, it's an extension of the Western neo-colonial list. They created this AU so that they can further their agenda. If you study this, if you just the basic what do you say? The goal for this, for the globalists, okay, for this neo-colonialists, is to control every nation, basically. But I want to talk about specifically Africa, Kenya to be exact. And the way to do it is not to, Zamani, just to break it down, and I'll relate it to this. I'm not getting off topic. I'm on topic. Kaha break it over. What I'm basically trying to say is this. The way this neo-colonialists assert their dominance, the way they rule the sub-Saharan nation, Kenya, is not through force. Remember, in 1895, when they came in, wakafanya their intelligence work, through the Ludwig Kraft and all these clowns that came in, they then brought the British forces, who forcefully, took up land. About Mau Mau. They used force and guns to rule us. Now wakajenga corporations that are still in place to this day. And we're still paying some debt to the colonialists up to this day. So what I'm trying to say is this. The new way of ruling Kenya is not through guns and, hawatakuja hapo watu rule, through tanks and guns and all that stuff. I mean, they can if they want to, but since we have all this, new rules, the world has changed. You can't just be, ruling people through guns. But still, it happens. I mean, the world has changed, but it kind of remains the same. So the new way, the easier way, the less expensive way to rule the former colonies, as in the case of the British, like in the Kenya, is to install puppets that will chaperone the indigenous people. Okay, so they gave us Kenyatta 1, Jomo Kenyatta, okay? And, they've maintained their grip on Kenya by making sure that every president that has ever been, ever come to power is carrying out their agenda, okay? Whether it's Jomo Kenyatta, Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, definitely. And now we have this pinhead Ruto. Okay? Again, it doesn't take a scientist now. If you just pay attention to the policies that are being put in place, whether it's the GMOs, the carbon credit nonsense, you can go on, okay? The parastatals that are being privatized. I already spoke about that. I will not go through that again. But you see the trend. That's how they get their grip. They're using these corporations and their influence, IMF, World Bank, okay? The loans that they're giving you to take over every facet of the economy. And they install their puppets to rule over you, which is Ruto, okay? That's why you see Ruto is standing up with the Israelis, even though the Israelis are the aggressors in this war between Iran and Israel. Okay, so the reason why I slightly differ with the Manyara is because like I say, AU was created to safeguard the interest of the West. Okay, yes, it's been given a fascinating name, African Union, but the policies and they're talking. Of course, they're dressing it up as the African Union. We are going to work in the interest of the Africans. We care about Pan-Africanism, but in real sense, they want to make. I ask. I mean, if there's any country that really needs help from other African nations, militarily, economically, and all other stuff, is Congo. Congo, there's a genocide happening in Congo today. And this genocide that's happening today is as a result of the foreign countries, these foreigners, Westerners, whether it's the Chinese are involved in there too. US with Elon Musk is heavily interested in Congo because he gets his metals from there, the ones that keeps up his car batteries or whatever. Belgium, of course, we know the history of Belgium and Congo, and so forth, okay? But where is AU? I mean, where is AU? But remember when they wanted to remove Gbagbo, AU was quick to send forces there to remove Gbagbo. Gbagbo, of course, was a man of the people, democratically elected by the Ivorian people, but they installed the president. Remember, the reason why they actually removed Gbagbo, and they spoke about this, I mentioned that in another platform too. I said he nationalized the banks of Ivory Coast. He was like really pro-people, but then the French were not happy about that because they were being cut off. So the French installed their own puppet president, and they, again, they had to use French francs, the money for French. Like I said, I mentioned this in another platform. Again, I've mentioned it before here. I said, remember the infamous quote by Putin where he said, if you want France to crumble, just free the West African nation. Free the Francophone nations in Africa, okay? And you can see that. The French people can no longer depend on Mali or Burkina Faso or Niger for uranium. So, they have to look somewhere. That's why they have to guarantee that. Guinea had a fake coup d'etat. Remember, they put on that that Guinean soldier because they saw that the Sahel nations were military coup d'etat that were happening. So the French people were like, you know what? Let's play them. Let's act like there's a coup d'etat in Senegal that they installed that general. That's why you see those Sahel nations are not embracing that Guinean general. But anyway, not to get off the topic, the point that I'm trying to make is this, that while Imanyara is making a valid point and pointing out that Ruto's stance probably would have been better if he was non-aligned, meaning that it would have been better if he never took a position, sided with any side, whether it's Israel or Iran. Just remain, in the middle. We'll see, choose sides and just condemn it when Israel is doing it and condemn it when Iran is doing. It could have been fair, but she took sides. Again, as Imanyara told us, Ruto was trying to show us, was trying to please the Americans and the Israelis, his masters, basically, his colonial masters, showing them that, hey, listen, I'm down with the program, okay? So Imanyara is saying, listen, you're going to mess up this for... It will be interesting, speaking of which, because I would like to hear Raila's stance on this Iran and Israeli conflict. as somebody, a candidate for the African Union, AUC, whatever the case is. I would like to hear his stance, okay? But of course, he's not going to speak because, like I say, not to make this about Raila again, but like I say, Raila is not, when it comes to real politics, okay? Kenyan politics is all about how much money you have, how many followers can you, psychopathic followers can you garner, and if you have money and you have influence, you can make things happen. You can break the law and nobody cares. Okay? But there's no real politics. Like there's no campaign. He's not there. There are things you can do if you're running for a position. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But it would be nice if he made his stance known in this Israeli-Iranian issue, okay? I don't know if this AU position, do they usually have debates or not? I doubt it. I don't know. I'll follow up and see, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. Maybe I'll mention it maybe later. Like I said, sina muda mrefu mpaka niangalia mechi bila ya Chelsea na Everton inaendelea in a few minutes. I mean, itaanza in a few minutes. Okay, anyway, so that's Imanyara's stance. Another person who really declared his stance in regards to Ruto's pronouncements was none other than Miguna Miguna. Miguna Miguna also mentioned something about this stuff, and I'll get to coffee break. Nakwambia this kahawa. Kahawa ni mtamu sana. Tamu sana. All right. Let's get to Miguna Miguna. Miguna. All right. Miguna said something also really interesting here. And here it is. This was yesterday. Was it? When is today? 14th? Okay. 15th today. All right. So here is what Miguna said. And it was very clear in his position. Here's what he said. Can you guys see it on the screen? Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I know most of you are going to watch this in repeat. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, okay? All right, here's what Miguna say. I voted for President William Ruto and supported his UDA Kenya party against the Azimio thugs in 2022 general election. Sorry, in general. Let me start over again. Sorry. I voted for President William Ruto and supported his UDA Kenya party against the Azimio thugs in 2022 general and presidential elections. However, on the doctor strike, the fake fertilizer scandal, the Haitian imbroglio, retrogressive support for Israel, the tribal composition of the KK regime, and other scandals, I, General Miguna Miguna, unequivocal say no, or I might say unequivocally say no. Okay? We did not campaign against the despotic, tribal, plundering, and murderous regime of Uhuru Kenyatta in order to replace it with another tyrannical regime. Democracy, accountability, transparency in public affairs, equity, and constitutionalism are not negotiable. Once any regime crosses the red line, patriots and revolutionaries have a duty to protect the public interest. Okay, so it comes down to what I always argued. I tell people, I know like some people is like, stop speaking now. You voted for this regime. Wacha iwarambe. Here is a classic example of someone who voted for Ruto in the last presidential elections. Okay. And he makes it clear that, yes, I voted for Kenya Kwanza. I voted for this UDA party, whatever the case is, and President Ruto for his presidency. But I did not sign up for this, basically. Okay. I was hoping that you would take Kenya to the next level, basically improve Kenya. But with the advent of the scandal, whether it's this fertilizer scandal and this nonsense that's going on, the roads, all that, it's pathetic. It's, to say the least. So here Miguna is saying, you know what? No, you've crossed the line. You cannot keep on supporting, the aggressors, the aggressive nature of how Israeli government is operating. You cannot support a government that's embroiled in several scandals, whether it's roads, the rampant corruption that's going on in every level of government. So he's basically saying, I'm not going to stand with you. I'm not going to stand with that. And he's disassociating himself with this Kenya Kwanza regime. Like I said, this regime, if it continues in this track, I doubt if they will reach 2027. We might have something happen. Something might happen, and maybe it's starting right now with the doctors, because it's a straightforward issue with this doctor scandal. The CBA, the reasons that I hear people say Nakumecha and all these clowns that are going around are talking about, oh, that was a deal that you made with Uhuru Kenyatta. We did that under distress because that's utter rubbish. Bonkers, okay? You cannot argue like that. The state made enter into an agreement with the doctors that they'll get paid X, Y, and Z, okay? The state should honor that regardless of what regime is in power, okay? Remember, the state was represented by the presidency. The presidency will change the regime, but the state is still in contract. The contract is still valid, okay? And the issue, I believe, had been adjudicated on by the courts. So there's no reason whatsoever to not pay these government officials. And the reasons that some of the pronouncements you hear from these members of this cabinet of CSS and government, like I had this Kericho MP, what's his name? Cheruiyot Aaron. Aaron Cheruiyot should be stoned. The things that were coming out of his mouth is offensive, to say the least. I will read it to you. He had a very okay. Let me see if Aaron Cheruiyot, if I can get his name. Aaron Cheru. Okay, here it is. I don't know if he has it on his Twitter. No, he does not. But I will quote what he said. Basically, what Aaron Cheruiyot was saying was that this regime does not have enough money. They are too broke to pay the doctors that amount that the doctors are asking for. And this is a silly argument because, when the budget is being created every fiscal year, when they are the finance bill, okay, the famous finance bill, okay, there's always what do you call it? Expenditures, and of course, revenue estimates, and what do you call it? Expenditure expenses, estimates of the expenses that government will have. And within the expenses, we have recurrent expenditures. That's the word. We have recurrent expenditures. Recurrent expenditures are the salaries of every civil servant fall under that. Okay? So if they're budgeting, the government factors in the salaries of every civil servant, including all the doctors that work in the government's hospitals, okay, that work for the government, okay. That's what I'm saying. So when the budget making process, that should have been factored in already. So you cannot come out 18 months down the line and say, hey, I cannot pay the doctors because we don't have enough money. It should have been budgeted for while you're making the finance bill, the budget appropriation bill, remember? Okay? So that argument by Aaron Cheruiyot does not hold any water. But that's an example of what's going on with this regime. This regime is it's in tatters. It's getting worse by the day. And by my estimation, I don't know if we are going to reach 2027. I really don't. I don't think we are. Ruto has to change course at some point. He has to. He has no. He has no. He has no option. Our friend Didmas Baraza, the MP of somewhere, I don't know where, came out and say Ruto. He told us that Ruto should run for should be president for the next 50 years. I mean, he's outdoing that Mwindi that told us that Ruto should go. At this point, I think he's trolling. He has to be trolling. This Ruto endelee for 50 years. Wow, okay. Ai, Kenya jamani. Ai. So, watu wanafurahisha. People are funny. But that's what's going on. As far as Sakaja hasn't showed up. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, it's been 30 minutes. Like I say, I will not be here for long. I have to go watch this match. So I will leave it here. Like I say, this was one of my, it's kind of my last broadcast. I'll take a break for a while, a week, 2 weeks, or maybe more or less. Okay. To handle my 1, 2, 3. Alafu nitarudi refreshed. I need a vacation, okay? From YouTube kidogo. But ladies and gentlemen, until then, you know, as I'm out there, of course, I'll be following news, and maybe I'll be jumping in other people's podcasts and see what they're talking about, what's trending, what's the discussion. I might jump in, but I'm not really, as you know, I'm not usually welcome in other podcasts. You know, Majamao, if you challenge people, they kick you out and all that stuff. So, but anyway, keep tuned. Do not, every time if you go through my videos, even the older videos of the new videos, go ahead and watch them, subscribe, like, comment. I'll be back in a week or 2 weeks, something like that. Nika ninio tu, nika vacation kadogo tu nitachukua, then I'll be back. All right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, it's been a pleasure. I just wanted to mention all this stuff. Not so much, but I'll see you guys in a few days, a week or 2. All right? I'll see you guys and I'll talk to you later. Peace.